Hi, I'm Richard, the founder of 10 Adventures, and this is the 10 Adventures podcast. Each week we talk to real people about real adventures as they explore this incredible planet we all live on. Hey Karen, how's it going out in Victoria?
Pretty good. How's it in freezing Calgary?
It's finally breaking from minus 40, so it was minus 25 yesterday, and we're all out snowshoeing, enjoying the warm weather. But I'm super excited today because we're going to learn about an epic bike trip from the top to the bottom of India. Now, you've spent a lot of time in India, but have you ever done a bike trip there, Karen?
Oh, no, never. And I'm quite interested to hear about it because I always thought that might be kind of scary to cycle in India with the traffic and everything.
Yeah, it'd be a great way to kind of take a slow approach to seeing the beauty of India, which I think would be really incredible. And so I'm really excited to welcome Devansh Alijar to the podcast. Devansh completed an epic 4,500 kilometer journey from northern India all the way down to the southern tip. And I want to find out more about this journey. But before we get to it, Devansh, can you maybe tell us a little bit about yourself? Are you a professional cycle tourer, or is this just a hobby of yours?
So hi guys, I'm Devansh, and just to correct you, Richard, it was like 4,000 kilometers. The ride wasn't 4,500. So it was from the northernmost state of India to the southernmost tip. And then me myself, like I'm 23 years old, and I started cycling when I was in college. Like I went to Singapore to study, and I started cycling, and I mainly learned like cycling just for doing some triathlons. And after doing a few triathlons, I was just like, that's too boring, racing and everything. And this tour was my first tour, like I've done, like a self-supported one. I'm not a tourer or anything, and I just picked up a Surly last year specifically for this. So this was like my first experience and like the longest one, I think.
So where did you get the idea of doing this massive bike tour?
Before I got my first cycle in Singapore, I used to work in a bike shop, and over there, a lot of like people used to come to India to cycle, like all the way like coastal and everything. And then people didn't like, I used to talk to people and they used to cycle India and they didn't see the things I knew they could see, or they didn't try the food I knew like they could try to have the complete experience. And then I was just like, probably I should like be the one, making a whole good map of the towns, to visit. Every town has something or the other, like a good dish you can try, or a temple you can visit, or something else crazy you can see in every place. And then at that time, like this was 7 years back, that's when I was like, I wanted to cycle across India and, make a route map. Because even like, as you said, there's like not much information out there for tourers. If you like Google touring in India, you'll just see headlines, okay, this guy has cycled this much. But I actually am sharing my route and everything. So people who want to do the exact same thing can do. I'll be putting out like the dishes I ate, the places we visited, the places we stayed, and everything.
So you started in the north of India, in Jammu, and then you cycled south to the very tip of India. And was this an established bicycle route, or are you saying that you created this route?
Normally, the established bicycle route, which goes from Jammu to Kanyakumari, it goes to the center of India. So that is around 3,600 kilometers. And the route we did was 4,000 kilometers, because we took many deviations from the beginning. Like if you like take the route which is established, you don't get Amritsar and the Golden Temple, and neither would you get Jaipur, Rajasthan, and none of the coastal. So the shorter and established route is right through the center, and it's a very good route. It's like a 6-lane highway. Like it's like a very broad and very well made road. That's where all the people who go for the world record or any other, when they're going against the time, that's the road they travel from. But if you are a tourer, you would hate that road because it's very, it's very commercial and there's nothing there for like a tourer to experience.
So were you on mostly smaller roads then?
Yeah, most of our trip was through smaller roads, like country roads kind of roads.
How did you know ahead of time which would be the more attractive or the less busy roads?
Like very, very less of the times we like learned it on the way. Like people are helpful. They'll tell you like you just stop at a restaurant to eat something. You just tell them, oh, I'm heading there, which is the good route, good like road to take. That's the best information you can get at that time. Like the restaurants there or the dhabas is what you call it. They know the best. What's the best road. But otherwise, I've actually been planning this road for 2 years. So I used to study in a boarding school in which like people were there from all over India, and then my family is pretty big. Like I know people from all around India. So every city I'm going to cross, I spoke to someone like what to visit, what to eat, and like what roads to take. So we planned all this like well in advance, and but still, I would say only 70% went according to plan. 30% was still, it changed that day. But that was like that's how touring should be, I think.
It's very subjective, where for me a busy road for somebody else, isn't too bad. So how busy are the roads on the route you took? Are there cars going by all the time whizzing past, or are they, going slow and there's lots of space?
See, the roads differ from where you're going to. Like, think that I'm going somewhere in Punjab or Rajasthan. Rajasthan is empty because, there's like not many big cities. But then if you're going near big cities like Mumbai and like Delhi, they are like very huge hubs, right? So that's when you can see like traffic, like cars are whizzing by continuous. Like every second there's a car going by. Like near Bombay for 100 kilometers, there was just like a very busy highway. We hated that highway because like it was so busy. But then if like there's no big city around, the roads are like quite peaceful. You can like hear yourself or at least the music or anything else if you're playing anything. It just depends if like there's a city around. The traffic is totally dependent on that. And then also when you're entering a city, normally the highway is quite empty, peaceful, and like cars won't come too near you because they respect cyclists. Like on the highway, everyone's pretty safe. But as you enter any city, you better brace yourself. Like traffic is just going to go haywire, like left and right, everywhere the cars and two-wheelers are going to be coming from. And then as an cyclist, it's like very important, especially in India, to use the hand signals. And cars will listen to you. If you like ask them to stay a bit away or like you're like going to make a turn, so they like stop for you. And it's like if you like use the hand signal, they will like respect you and wait for you and like whatever you're going to do. Like if someone is coming out from the petrol station or something on the road, you just tell them to stop, like show your stop signal, and they'll just stop for you to pass and all that. But then when you go into the city, no one is going to listen to any of the signals, so you better just manage yourself the best.
That's funny. That's funny. I respect you for cycling through big cities in India because that looked really scary for me. So that must take a lot of guts. Did you go into the big cities? Did you go into Delhi and Mumbai?
Yeah, actually, we didn't like go into Mumbai because Mumbai was a huge detour. It would be like 100 kilometers just to go in and come out. We stayed out of Mumbai, but Delhi we cycled through Delhi. Mainly, we cycled through Delhi just because of the farmer protest. Like, there's a farmer protest going on there, and then all like along the way, the highway was blocked, so the highway was actually empty. There's like nothing on the highway, so we could easily go into Delhi from the highway, and the highway was actually blocked for all cars and all vehicles. So the farmers, they like met us all like on the way. They are like, oh, you guys should come here, stay with us, have food. So the farmers on the way to Delhi from Punjab, like from Jammu to Punjab, sorry, Jammu to Delhi, there's Punjab on the way. And on the way, they were serving, like free tea and like food and everything. And the craziest thing happened on the way is there was actually traffic on the Google Maps. And then we were actually worried, how come there's a traffic on the highway? And then when we reached the traffic area, there was a traffic because these farmers were serving free food and every car was stopping and eating food over there. So that showed traffic on maps. So there was like free food and free chai all the way till like Delhi. They were like serving food to all the protesters who was going and everyone else, like not just protesters, anyone who wanted to. And then they were like, you guys, we were worried because will we be safe or not? So they were like, you all will be safe, don't worry. And we asked the police like, will we be safe after we cross that? And then we got the approval of the farmer protest, like the protesters and the police that we'll be safe. So there was a road in which no one is allowed, and then there's like farmers on one side, and they like let us cyclists pass through very safely. And after that point, there was police like completely like a war going on, like completely wearing all the gear with guns and everything, and only like us cyclists cycling on the road. So that was a very surreal experience, experiencing that. We spoke to the farmers, we spoke to the police people, like what's both their sides.
Sounds amazing.
So basically, in India, like cycling was a superpower. If you have a cycle, that's like a superpower. And especially if you're touring and you have all the luggage on the cycle, right? No one is going to hurt you or affect you in any negative way. All they'll ask is how they can help you or how they can support you. And it's just so weird because we didn't, like, people are asking, did like police stop you for COVID or anything? Like, the only two questions whenever anyone stopped us, they asked us, where like did you come from? Where are you going to go? Nothing else. They won't ask you like for what's your ID or like would you have permission or anything. Yeah.
You started the tour in Jammu, right? How did you get to Jammu with your bike?
We like dismantled our bike into like carton boxes. Like when you buy the bike, you get the box. So we removed all the parts with the bike in the box and we put it in the flight with us.
And then you put your bike together and head off. So Jammu's in the state of Jammu Kashmir, correct?
Yeah, Jammu and Kashmir. So then we actually reached Jammu like 3-4 days before, so we can fix our bike and
Yeah. So how was it cycling there?
oh, cycling in Jammu was crazy. It was like pretty cold. Also, people, they have a total different mindset of India, and you know how the protests I was telling you before, right? Like the media portrays everything being so dangerous, especially in Kashmir and also the farmers' protest. That's the main reason most people like they like misunderstand a lot of things. Jammu was very peaceful, like as in it was even like it was my first time visiting Kashmir. So even I was like pretty shocked. I'm like everything is so peaceful here. Like what's wrong with the media like portraying all this? Like, it was very peaceful. And then we just put our cycles together. Then we started heading off, and the weather was pretty cold. Obviously, it's Kashmir. We were surrounded by mountains, all the sides, like snow peaks and everything. I think it was 2 degrees. I don't know if that's cold for you or not, but that was cold for us. 2 degrees Celsius.
So how many days were you in those mountains of Jammu Kashmir?
No, it was just like one day. Within like one day, we crossed it, and we were in the plains of Punjab. Like the second day, we came to Punjab.
So you said you cycled from Jammu to Delhi. What were some of the highlights along the way?
So then from like Jammu to Delhi, there's actually the highway that goes, but we took a detour from the highway, which we went to Amritsar. So if you know the Golden Temple, right, that is like the base or the shrine of all the Sikhs where, they pray to. And Golden Temple, even though me like being an Indian, I don't like go to temples that often, but Golden Temple is something you should go. Like just being in the temple, like the area of the temple, you just feel all the spirituality and everything. Like it's just crazy, like the amount of devotion. So Golden Temple is open 24 hours, and then you can go in like midnight, early in the morning, anytime, and you can also actually stay there for free. Like they have free rooms for foreigners or Indians and everyone else to stay there at the temple. And there's like also free food all the time, and the food they make is very hygiene. Like they serve around 100,000 people a day over there. And then it's like all called seva. All the Punjabis, they have a thing called seva, which they do by offering langar. Langar is free food. So whenever a Punjabi is running a business, they have like 10 or 20% which they have to donate for a cause. So all these guys, they donate to Golden Temple and many other gurudwaras. That's why in Punjab, like anytime any of these bike packers and hitchhikers, Punjab is like an amazing place because you can stay and eat at the gurudwara for free. If you're traveling to India, and they are like very, very welcoming. They like help you with anything. Like Punjab as a state, I would say it's the most welcoming state in India. Like even I was shocked because this was my first time, and I could see like people were just so helpful and welcoming. Like every day we are riding, people are coming to us like stay in my house or like let me like buy you lunch for your ride or something like that, which is something I've never experienced.
I have a good story about Amritsar, Devansh. I went a few years ago and I took my parents and we were walking around the Golden Temple and some Indian people, they'd always come up and talk to us. They were very friendly. But the funny thing was they came up to us and said, "Oh, where are you from? Where are you from?" And we would say, "Oh, we're from Canada." And then they would say to us, "So are we." Because there's a lot of Punjabi immigrants in Western Canada. So almost all of the people who are coming up to talk to us were Canadians.
Yeah, actually, there's a lot of Punjabis in Canada. Actually, there's gurudwaras in Canada also, which like have the free stay and free food for everyone. I think there's like many. Yeah, so that's a very very positive thing about the culture and religion they have.
So you said on that stretch, Amritsar was a definite highlight.
Yeah, Amritsar was obviously the best thing on that stretch, and plus there was another thing, Kurukshetra. If anyone knows like the Mahabharata, Kurukshetra actually means in Hindi battlefield. So Kurukshetra was the battlefield when the Mahabharata happened, like the epic of Mahabharata. When the Pandavas and Kauravas, like the two armies they were fighting, that was the battlefield. But right now you can't see anything, but they have a lot of ancient temples and history around that place, and they have recently built like a temple park and a very nice jogging and like a Brahma Sarovar. It's a lake and around which they have a jogging track and all that. Recently made, they have like nice structures and good to visit there also. Mainly because of the historical significance, like India is like known for all these, ancient Mahabharata, Ramayana, and all these texts that were written ages ago. So visiting those places was obviously something nice to do. And then we reached Delhi.
And where were you sleeping every night along the way?
For the first 1 week, we actually booked hotels and places to stay. But in Delhi, we had a friend's place we stayed at. So we were trying to stay mainly at dharamshalas. You know, like every temple, they have a dharamshala. Like any big temple, like Golden Temple has a dharamshala. And mainly in Punjab, it's all free. But then for other Hindu temples or any other temples, it's like paid. But then it's very minimal. And the only reason we didn't carry any camping gear is because a camping gear would cost you like hundreds of dollars. Like getting a compact tent and which is a very nice sleeping bag and everything. But if I tell you like my entire trip, including my stay and food for the 45 days, it costed me around $900. So it wasn't a point to invest in a good gear and everything. So we were actually staying in this temple dharamshalas, and they have like AC and they're like very clean rooms and all that. So the first option was either a temple dharamshala, or it was if I have a relative or a friend, someone's home, if they invite us, because it's COVID going on. Only if someone invites us, we'll go. We won't like tell them, oh, we are coming. Can we stay at your place? So anyone who invited us, we stayed at their home or there. And third option was any hotel at the highway. That would do.
Hey, Devansh, I have a question. You're talking a bit about your setup and the kind of gear you had. Can you tell us a little bit about the bike you had, as well as did you have panniers on the bike carrying all your gear, or how did you manage? And what did you take with you on this trip? You don't have to go through everything, but just kind of like an idea. Like, did you carry a ton of stuff, or were you super minimalist and only had like a change of clothes and like a puncture kit?
We would like to think we are minimalists. So then I'll just start with what all clothing I carried. I actually we were four of us, right? First, let me tell about my cycle. We were four of us, and two of us had road bikes. I had a Surly, and the other guy had a Cannondale road bike. And the other two people, they had hybrids. One had a Decathlon hybrid, like the Between, which is the entry level cycle. And then another guy, he also had a commute bike. And then both of them had a point to prove. They had a point that you don't like need to spend so much to travel. You can just go on a budget too. So I had four pannier bags. The others were carrying two, mainly because I had four pannier bags because I was carrying a lot of recording equipment. Like I make videos on YouTube, so I had a drone and GoPro and camera stuff with me. So that takes quite a bit of space. So I had like those in my front bags. And for clothes, we carry like two pairs while cycling, two pairs off cycle, like after we shower, just something clean to wear, and then two winter clothes, wind cheater or some raincoat, and then we carry like four underwears, some four pairs of socks, and for like medical kit, like any like rashes cream, antifungal cream, and then, like get any rashes like normal Vaseline, toothpaste, toothbrush, some toiletries, towel. That's about it for the clothes. And main were the repairs. We carried like quite a bit of repairs. We carried like three extra tires. No, not tires, sorry, tubes. We didn't carry any extra tire because I was using the Marathon Plus, which they say is like a very good tire, and it should like last 10,000 kilometers. And this tire, I just got like one puncture. My another friend who had a Marathon Plus, he didn't get any puncture all the way. So that was like the tire is pretty good. I would like suggest that for sure. We carried like extra chain. We carried a brake and
I agree with you about the marathon tires. I've cycled toured like over 2,000 kilometers with marathon tires, and they are great.
yeah, yeah. Marathon Plus is for sure great. Like that's like one thing I would recommend strongly. Like for sure, any cycle you have, Marathon Plus would like be the best like investment you get. So my friend who had a cycle which is 20,000 rupees, he bought the 6,000 rupee tire. So it was almost the tire costed half his cycle cost. So but still it was worth it. And then we carried the brake and gear cable, but we didn't need it. We carried extra spokes, loop degreaser. So actually, we carried degreaser and loops just to every once a week. We used to clean our chains and everything, which was helpful. And the most things we used was we had like quite a few punctures. That's about it. Then the guy who had the decathlon cycle, his spokes broke quite often, so we had to go to replace the spokes. So that's like a give and take. I think the tire, like the wheel belt was very, like, not strong. But luckily, my cycle was custom built for this, like my Surly. It was custom built for this trip. So everything kept up pretty well, which I'm thankful for, over such a long time. And roads were mainly good, but we got at least like 50, 60 kilometers of bad roads in the 4,000 kilometers. And the bad roads were like, they were not roads, they were like rocks. So it was very bad.
I have another question before we go back to the route. In terms of like your day to day, what would an average day be in terms of, how long you'd cycle for, when you'd wake up, would you take a lot of breaks, would you try and be in the next location by a certain amount of time?
When the planning happened, right, we thought we'll reach the next destination by 12 o'clock in the afternoon. But then when it actually started, we were reaching the destination by 3 o'clock or 4 o'clock because like the riding time, we were like riding an average of 100 kilometers a day, even though we were averaging 20. So it's like 5 6 hours of riding time. But then the break time was also like 4 5 hours. So it was total like we were 9 hours out there. So if you like stop for a breakfast, you like easily take 1 hour. If you stop for lunch, it's 1 hour. Then you see a bridge on the way. You can like take a cool photo of the cycle. We all just stop there for 20 minutes. And if you see something cool or someone stops you and wants to talk to you, then you just stop and talk to them, and that just takes time. So like the prediction was a lot shorter, but it like happened to be we were like on the road at least 8 to 10 hours every day. But then the riding time was more or less similar than what we thought. Like we were like averaging 20 kilometers per hour no matter the terrain for the entire ride. And then also, I like to add one more thing. There's two best investments for the cycle, which I thought, which was the Marathon Plus tires and Ice Tool mini pump, which comes with a gauge and it's very easy to carry and fill air. Instead of the big pump, you can just carry this Ice Tool small pump. It's like super helpful.
So after Delhi, you went through Rajasthan, and then did you go out to Gujarat?
Yeah, from Rajasthan to Gujarat. So basically, Rajasthan we spent 9 days, which like we didn't need to. We could cross Rajasthan in 4 days. But I like my family is from Rajasthan. Like we shifted to Hyderabad 200 years back, and the fact that I know that it's crazy. So then that's why I wanted to roam around Rajasthan, and I've never visited Rajasthan in my life. So we actually went to my ancestral village from where my family had a house 200 years ago. So we visited the house and we went to other places. Like Jaipur as a city was amazing, but I say like if you just go to Jaipur, you just take picture everywhere. But I found Jaipur more beautiful because we actually cycled through Jaipur. So we stayed in Jaipur one extra day just to cycle around the city. And then I would say rather than visiting the fort, just cycling around everything in Jaipur was like too good. Like you can just have some street food. Like kachoris there are very famous. You can just have there's a thing called Rawat ki kachori. You get it like you can just find it on Google. You can just cycle to that place, have that kachori. It's like a dish, a small fried dish. Yeah, cycling through the Pink City was one of the highlights. Then in Pushkar, that's like another place in Rajasthan, which is like a lot of for hippie people are staying there. Like a lot of Israeli people and everything. Pushkar is famous because that's the only Brahma temple in the world. So normally all the Hindu gods they have like thousands of temples, but Lord like Brahma he has just one temple which is in Pushkar. So which is why it's famous. And every year there's a huge Pushkar Mela in which like thousands of camels are sold and traded. So if you go while that time, it's like an experience to be there. And Pushkar, there's a small desert also we can see, and you can do like desert camping and all of that. And then in Rajasthan, there was one more place called Pali. So in Pali, even like I had no clue. On the way, someone told us, "Oh, guys, the largest leopard sanctuary is in Pali," and I was shocked. I'm like, "Whoa, how the hell does Rajasthan have leopards and a forest?" Because I thought it's all desert. But then they like had a leopard sanctuary in which like in a small dense forest, like not small, like considerably small, there were like 50 leopards. So it's very easy to spot the leopard. So we actually went for the safari, and that just in one safari we spotted three leopards. And then this was an unbelievable experience because I've never spotted a big cat. I've gone for so many tiger safaris and everything, but I've never seen a big cat in my life. But in Javai National Park, like near Pali, we saw the leopards.
I hope you weren't on your bicycle for the leopard safari.
Yeah, like before the trip, I was speaking to so many people. They're like, "Oh, guys, aren't you guys worried about COVID?" I'm like, "Bro, COVID is least of my worries. I'm scared if an elephant or some big animal runs behind me because it's a very high possibility that can happen. It's like not like a joke. Like we saw camels running on the road and everything.
So what came after Rajasthan?
So after Rajasthan was Gujarat and Maharashtra. So Gujarat is known, for a lot of temples, and they have these very ancient and huge temples. So we were like staying in a lot of temples. We were visiting them. There's like a lot of Jain temples. Jain is another small religion in India, in which like this is just dominated in Gujarat and Maharashtra and Rajasthan. So there were a lot of these temples, and they have food in the temples, and you can just the complex is very big. So normally the concept like they have a lot of cows in the temples, and they like try to save cows, and they have a cow dharamshala behind the temple or something like that. and then people can stay. Then kids can come there for a weekend and play. It's like a whole weekend getaway. Like you pray, then you play, and then like just a whole experience you can have. So like these kind of huge temple complexes were a lot in Gujarat. So we went through them. And then also in Gujarat, we went to Dandi. So actually, when we were traveling, Dandi was a big detour. So Dandi is the place where, Gandhiji, Mahatma Gandhi, he did the Dandi March. He marched from Ahmedabad's ashram to Dandi, the salt beach, where the Britishers did the salt separation and they taxed Indians for the salt. So that's where many people say, like, the aggression for freedom actually started after the Dandi March. So that's when he marched to Dandi just to take the salt there and be like, we are not going to pay taxes for salt. And that like movement built up, and that like led to freedom. So we like wanted to visit Dandi. We were like, if Mahatma Gandhi walked so far, we can take a 40-kilometer detour, to visit this place. So that was a place of historical significance.
So are those big salt marshes at Dandi? Are they large salt marshes there?
No, no, no. So then there like used to be salt separation there. Like right now there's nothing. So it was a salt march. So he actually walked from Ahmedabad to Dandi, which is 300 kilometers, like for like protesting against the British salt tax. So then it was just a salt march. Like a lot of people joined him on the way. Like there was thousands, like I think couple of 100,000 people who joined him for the march.
So now after Gujarat, you're heading south. Where are you going next?
We are going to Maharashtra, which is like Mumbai and everything. And in Maharashtra, we learned a very surprising fact. So in the north, we thought the north will be more mountainous, but it was like mainly flat because we were going through the Indian plains. And then once we hit Maharashtra, we realized there's something called Western Ghats in India, which we knew about, but we never felt while cycling. So when we hit the Western Ghats, so till now, every day we were averaging 100 kilometers and maybe 300-400 meters in elevation maximum. And then after Maharashtra, every day the elevation was minimum 1,000 meters. Like we are going up and down the ghats and mountains. Even though we are staying at the sea level, getting to Mumbai was Mumbai sea level, right? So getting to Mumbai, there was like nice ghat climbs and everything. And then after Mumbai to Lonavala, it's like a hill station. Many people go to like their farmhouses there. They just go to chill out. So Lonavala was a very tough climb. So Bombay to Lonavala, it was a 60-kilometer ride, but then it was a some 1,200-meter elevation, and we are like waiting over like 60 kilometers. 1,200 isn't very bad, but the thing is, until the last 15 kilometers, there was no climb. So in the last 15 kilometers, there was a 1,200-meter elevation, and like I was lucky. I had like extra gears on my Surly. Like my Surly was 3 into 11, so that's 33. So then I could go lower gear, but the other guys who didn't, they were like dying because with the luggage, climbing at such an incline was like and like impossible task. Like it was crazy, but still we cried, but we continued to climb. We took some sugarcane stops, like drank some sugarcane juice, and we continued to climb. But Lonavala climb is quite tough if someone is planning to do with luggage and everything. Just beware. And once we reached on top, they were like a few cyclists met us. They greeted us like we were gods or something because they are like till now many people have come here, but they normally call someone to get the luggage up in a car, and they come just like with the cycle, and they're like, you guys should have done the same, but we didn't even know that option. If we like knew that option, we would have thought about it, but we didn't know, so we just cycled.
Is the temperature, the climate when you get up to the Ghats, is it cooler then?
Oh no, no, no! It's very hot. Like the sun was very bad. So actually, we didn't see the sun until we reached Gujarat. The first 20 days, it was like completely fog covered, so we couldn't see the sun at all. And we saw the sun only in Gujarat for the first time. And once we crossed Gujarat, it was very hot all day. Because winters, there's no cloud, right? So the sun is hitting you all the time directly. Even though we go up in the ghats are not very high. Like the hill stations are 400-500 meter high. It's not like very high, but just the climb is tough. It's like not like high enough to make the climate cool. And then also in Maharashtra, there is a place called Mahabaleshwar where strawberries are very famous. So on the highway, when you're reaching Mahabaleshwar on the road, a lot of people sell strawberries. So they were like very tasty to try. And also one more thing I would like to add is about the food along the way, right? So when you cross Punjab, in Punjab, they grow fresh oranges, like they're like big orange farms. So all like around the road, people are selling fresh orange juices, which is right from the farm behind the orange juice machine. So you can like drink a lot of fresh orange juices there. And then in Rajasthan and all, you won't Rajasthan and Gujarat, it's very hard to find fruits. So you won't find any fresh like apple, banana, or anything. But you'll get a lot of fried food and all there for breakfast. So you might have acidity problems when you're cycling because we all had that because you're eating like fried food in the morning and night. But the food is tasty for sure. But 6 7 days back to back, if you're having this food, like not that great. But in Rajasthan, you get kachori for breakfast, and then you can have like chapati and any dry sabji for lunch, and you should just have the authentic food of the state, particular state every time. And in Gujarat, I think many of you guys will be happy to hear, like how Indian food is spicy. Gujarati food is known to be sweet, so everything is sweet there. L- like no matter what, if you like order anything, even if you tell spicy, they'll just make it sweet and they'll give it to you. So like that's a good thing to hear, I think. Many people come from abroad, they die of the spiciness here. And Maharashtra has like fruits, is like the farmlands here is I think too good. Like it's filled with fruits of all like over the country. You can like get coconut, bananas, like jackfruit, and like everything on the roads. So it's like very good if you're like health conscious. Actually, it's just so tasty. You just enjoy eating fruits. Like watermelon, papaya, everything on the road, and they'll cut it up, give it to you salted, and you'll just like feast on them. So that was good. Then you get strawberries also in Maharashtra, as I was saying. And then this was good. And then Karnataka, what you get is sugarcane is very famous in Karnataka. Like there's big sugarcane farms. So you get very fresh, nice sugarcane juices in Karnataka. And once you go to Kerala, it's coconut water territory all the way. So you can get like a lot of coconut water.
So as you were heading south, like through the Ghats and then further south, were you still staying mostly, or when you could, in temple accommodation or hotels or?
Maharashtra was the last temple we stayed in, I think. After that, we could have, but then we chose. So we had some relatives in Maharashtra, so we were staying with them, like in Lonavala and all. Like my like aunt has a farmhouse, so we stayed in that, and we started staying with people. And then also there was like we were going to some holiday destination kind of things, like tourist places or stuff like that. So over there's not much temples. We had to pay for hotels and stuff like that. After Maharashtra, we came to North Karnataka. So that's when the coastal route started. So to getting to North Karnataka, there's a route from, like we went from Belgaum to Dandeli to Karwar. So Dandeli is a place where there is like it's known for river rafting in the south of India. There is a river Kali in which people do the rafting. And then Dandeli is covered with a dense forest. So the ride to Dandeli was too beautiful. It was the Western Ghats, plus it was covered with forest. And then still there was some civilization houses and all. But the next day's ride from like Dandeli to Karwar, we like went through a forest area, like a proper forest area where cars are not allowed to pass after 6 o'clock. And it was almost 60 kilometers of that. And then like on the way it's like, oh, beware, there are tigers, beware, there are leopards, and we were like, oh my god, we are on cycles, like what the hell will happen to us? And then luckily we didn't see anything, but the road was just like this was the best stretch of a whole trip, like for scenic and like by the way of the nature. It was the most scenic route for the entire trip, mainly because so it was very hot, right? But then because of the forest was so dense that not even a single sun ray was reaching the floor. So it was completely like cool. And then also it was like the oxygen of like South India. I was feeling like the Western Ghats. It was so densely filled, and there was like all langurs and all kind of these monkeys roaming around. And we didn't like see any settlement for 60 kilometers. After 60 kilometers, we saw a small shop, and the shop just had like chips and like like all these. There was no real food. It was just chips and all. We like ended up staying there for 2 hours. We had like some 30 packet of chips because we were so hungry. We didn't see anything for like 60 kilometers, like 3 4 hours.
You didn't cycle through Goa, did you?
Oh no! So then we skipped Goa. We skipped Goa. So then this is where Karwar is where we reached. Karwar is like 90 kilometers from Goa. So actually, Goa is a very famous spot, and everyone has been to Goa many times. And Goa is a party spot. After you reach Goa, it's hard to continue after that. That's one thing I knew. And then like there's a very famous coastal route for cycling, Bombay to Goa. That's a coastal road. So that is something I wanted to do again. I don't want to include this in this trip because even the alternate route we took is like very beautiful, which like we couldn't do if we took the Bombay Goa road. And then Goa seems like a good place to end a trip at, not be in the middle. We wouldn't be able to continue the next day. A lot of foreigners they just hear about Goa, but truthfully the beaches in Goa suck. Like they actually suck very bad. Like they are so dirty. Like you guys must just come and think that, oh my god, probably these guys are used to these kind of beaches, but that's actually very bad beaches of India, like the Goa beaches. So if you go to places like Gokarna, Kumta, so we stayed in Kumta. After Dandeli, we went to a place called Kumta. I'll share pictures of the beach with you. Oh my god, those are like the water is plain, like it's like clear blue, and then it's a proper white sand beach. And the best part about that is there's no one on the beach. People who come to India, they're like, oh, India has like 1.3 billion people, everywhere will be crowded. But that's not true. There are some totally secluded beaches where you can just be there for weeks and months, you won't see anyone else there on the beach. And that's like not even a private beach, it's like a public beach, anyone can use it. But India is such a big coast. If there's any famous beach, right, I would say, if you like actually want to visit a beach 10 or 20 kilometers above or below that beach, because the sea and sand will be better and it'll be less crowded there. And there was like many amazing beaches there. But Goa is mainly people go for like shacks and partying. For that, Goa is the best. But if you're going for the beach and the water, there is like tons of other better places. After this Dandeli, we did a bit of rafting. So after we cycled, we went for river rafting. The water was amazing. Like the river water was clear. You could like see the depth of the river, like probably some 10, 12 meters, which was like too deep. So we rafted there for a while. And then the next day, as I said, we went to Kumta. Kumta is also like a very famous place called Gokarna. Right now, it's building up like Goa, but Kumta is a smaller place away from Gokarna where there's like very pretty beaches and places to be. So we camped on the what do you call that beach there. So we are right in front of the sea camping. So that's where my friend had another friend who had tents and everything. So he tented. He like got the tents and we tented out there. So that was the only time we camped in our trip. And then after that, it was a complete coastal road. So once we touched Karwa, right, it was completely the west coast of India. And over here, we came across like very beautiful beaches of India. Like I can say, like a few places, there is something called a certified blue beach. Like the water needs to be clear, and then you need to have certain amenities and everything. There is like four beaches in this stretch which are certified blue beaches. They are like very clean and safe for people to use, but you have to pay to enter. But in the same stretch, there are other beaches which you can just use without paying to enter, and the water is as clear and as good. Near Udupi and Mangalore, there is a few stretches of road in which there is a river on one side, and then there is the sea on the other side, and the road is passing in the middle. So all these roads are not the highway; these are like the country roads. If you can see, if you like see the maps, right, you can like see the road between two water bodies, and then when you are cycling on it, you can still see like both sides water, and you can see the difference in the color. Like the river is more greenish and the sea is a lot more blue. And then just cycling through those roads for like 50, 60 kilometers a day, it was like too crazy. Like it was like it's like mesmerizing for your eyes. And you're just like, that's when I was like, oh my god, the trip is going to end. After this, when I have to come back home and look at normal things, it's just going to be very boring.
So, how did you feel when you finished your trip, when you got to the southernmost point?
So when we were coming to the southernmost point, the first thing was, you should know, is Kanyakumari, right? Kanyakumari is the place where two seas and one ocean meet. So Arabian Sea, Bay of Bengal, and the Indian Ocean meet each other, like at that point. So actually, if you take a drone shot or something, you can see like three different watercolors, because three different water bodies are meeting at the tip. And then it is windy as hell. Like when you were cycling to Kanyakumari, like just 30 kilometers before, it was hard to cycle because the headwinds were so strong we weren't able to push through. And this was a problem we never had like on the ride till now. The headwinds were so strong. Once you reach the southernmost tip of India, there is a like temple there and a statue of Tilamur. Wait, let me pronounce this guy's name right, because that's important. Tiruvallur statue. So then, as you reach the southernmost point of Kanyakumari, there's a statue of Tiruvallur, which like you can see, and the statue is the point, where most of the people start or end their trips from Kanyakumari. And then when we were reaching to Kanyakumari, so actually I've been speaking about this trip to all my relatives, and I have a very big family. All right, so then there was like almost 50 people at Kanyakumari to receive us for like ending our trip and everything. So they were actually waiting. Yeah, so like as we entered the complex, they were like running with us to the southernmost tip of India. And then over there, like we got our time. And the best thing about it was so windy. You could have been there like at 1 in the afternoon or 2 in the afternoon under like scorching heat. You would still not feel the heat because the wind was against your face so well. Like, and then the sea was too beautiful. It was too windy. That was the amazing part of Kanyakumari.
So you just finished this 10 days ago, which I think is incredible. What's it like coming back to like normal life? I did a long through hike, and I found it, kind of weird to just stop walking. But what was it like for you? Are you back at work all of a sudden and back to the regular grind?
Yeah, back to the regular grind. Right now, I'm finding it hard to sleep. Like, as in my body's like, why isn't this guy cycling? Like, I'm not like able to sleep at nights. I'm hardly sleeping 3, 4 hours, because probably my body needs to work out to go to sleep or something like that. That's the toughest part. And work is obviously boring. Like you don't like feel like working, because after doing all this, and now I'm actually dreading editing the video is the tough part. Like, I have like recorded 500 GB worth of footage while this trip, and I have to edit it all or just see the photos and the videos, which is the task I don't want to get to yet.
What was the hardest part? The way you've described the trip, it sounds really fantastic, but I know in any of these long trips, there's always some points that are tough. What were the hard parts for you?
So then actually we skipped over the Kerala part. So the roads in all of India were very good except for Kerala. Once you enter Kerala, right, the roads are very narrow. Like, as in, it's actually very scarily narrow. Like, it's very scary narrow. It's like exactly 2 lanes. So then if like bus is passing by, you might actually have to wait and get off the road and let the bus pass by. So it's that narrow. And that's the highway. Like that's not even a country road, that's so narrow. So you don't have any other option to go through those roads. And also, I'm like a vegetarian, and I never thought I'll have a problem in India to find veg food. But in Kerala, that was a real problem. Like, it was hard to find vegetarian food. So there was many days I just had to eat bread or something like that. So it was like a very shocking experience to me. Like, I've been like around the world, but obviously, like, you're like ready for it. But when I was traveling India, I thought, like, I'll get food everywhere. But if you're like a non-vegetarian, Kerala is like a place to eat seafood. Like, you get some amazing seafood there. But if you're a vegetarian, just be ready. Like, once we knew it, we were carrying like bread and peanut butter and a lot of fruits so we can eat something. But and also the roads are pretty. You need to be careful on the roads over there. It's very narrow. So either start early, try to get through it. Just be ready for those very narrow roads just for this one state. Like the last 600 kilometers, I think it was like narrow roads. And so yeah, over there once by mistake, I had like I like wanted to have dal and rice, which is a veg dish, but the person served fish curry by mistake, and my body's not used to fish curry, right? So then I had fish curry and rice, and then like I had diarrhea like for 3 days. So that time my body was very weak. When you have diarrhea, all the salts and all have gone like off your body. So cycling was very difficult through those phases. So those were like the tough 3 days in Kerala for me. But there was like another person with me, Sarvesh, my friend. He had like a pull or something on his knee, so he was just able to cycle, but he couldn't walk. So in the trip for 5 days, like he had like band-aid his whole leg, like with KD tape and everything. Then he was cycling and limping post cycling. Like, I thought he'll have to stop the trip, but he went on. After pushing for 5 days, his leg was back to fine, which was like surprising.
Actually, I'm impressed that you cycled all in Kerala because I went to Kerala a few years ago, and for me, I found it so hot that I would just like go sit in the room that was air conditioned in the middle of the day. But maybe since you're from Hyderabad, you're used to heat.
Oh, no! This was like another level of heat. And then also, I'm not sure. Like, right now I can show the camera to you guys, but see, so this is the tan I have on my leg. Can you see the tan? It is like actually white and black. Even like, I'm not that used to heat and all that, because even if I'm in Hyderabad right now, I'm sitting in the air condition, but then you get like used to it. I feel, like when you have to do it, there's no other option. And then also the nutrition part, I find like we just use salt pills maximum. Like these salt pills just for electrolytes. So they were very helpful in the heat. So whenever the sun comes out and everything, and you just take a salt pill and you cycle, you don't like feel the heat when you're cycling. Only when you stop, for a break, or you're just stopping on the road, that's when you feel the heat. And I think that like everyone says the same thing, like runners or cyclists going in the heat, they're like, oh, only like when I stop, I feel the heat. If I don't stop, I don't feel it. And salt pills help a lot, with heat stress or any other thing.
So the way you've described this, it sounds like an epic journey. If people are thinking of doing a bike tour in India, maybe not though as long as you did, but what are some tips you can give people?
So, first of all, carry enough gear, like as in your clothing and your equipment should be good. So, first your cycle and your body should support yourself. So that like, so train well. But then in case, people have a very negative mindset, like, oh, how will India be? But then it's like very surprisingly, people are very helpful on the road, especially. So then people who have bad experiences is mainly in the cities. Once you go in the countryside or the towns, everyone is super helpful, and especially to people who are like adventurers. If you're like cycling through or hitchhiking or something, you just have very beautiful experiences because people are so helpful to everyone. Especially the people adventuring like from like to far away places. They like help you a lot. Other tips will be like food and all. Just be ready to try everything. Just don't have water and something that's uncooked. So if you have cooked food which comes out, when it's totally cooked, or have fruits, you'll be fine. Like the only way your stomach will get upset is if you have water or some salad which has been cut a while ago. So have like freshly cut salad or freshly cut fruits and only cooked food. Don't try anything that's not cooked or even which might look safe, but for your safety, all the diseases or any stomach upsetness you get, that's from the water. Nothing is from the food. So that's the most important factor if someone who's coming from out of India to cycle to India. And there is many roads. I would say the highways and all are very safe to cycle until your hand signals are very good. But in the cities, you should just be careful while cycling.
So what's next for you? You've completed this great journey. Are you dreaming up new bike trips to do?
I have like had the Silk Route, that goes from Beijing to all the way to Istanbul. That was then my long-term plan. Like I probably want to do it in the next 3-4 years. But until then, I want to do like the smaller cycle trips in India itself. There's like northeast of India, which like goes from Kolkata to like the Himalayas only again. So that's like very beautiful and untouched. Like people have started to travel there right now itself. And also you also know about my Manali to Leh cycling trip. So which was like climbing the Greater Himalayas. So these two trips are totally two different kind of trips. This touring is like mainly there's a lot of factors involved. Like there is people, there is food, and then there is like where you stay and everything. But the trips like Northeast India or Manali today, it's completely is the pure raw beauty of the nature which you're going to see. Like food and everything will be more or less the same, but then the scene, like the scenic views you keep changing, like of the mountains, the sky, and the snowy like peaks and everything. So I want to do a few more trips like those, like Northeast India or like Bombay to go, as I said before, and cover like different parts of India and probably put the routes out there for people to cycle to.
Well, Devansh, this has been an incredible discussion. And when you're talking about being, worried about being chased by tigers and elephants, it's the same here in Canada. We're worried about being chased by grizzly bears, although I've never had it happen. I know when you're out in the lonely roads, that is a concern. If people want to find out more, where can they find you?
You can like actually find me. I have a YouTube channel called Devansh Alijar, my name, in which I post all the trips I've done and I try to break it down completely of the itinerary and what to do. And also, if you guys have any questions, you can like follow me on Instagram, Devansh Alijar, where like I like reply to all the messages I get.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much. I'll put the links to both of those in the show notes. I know it's late in India. Thank you for taking the time and sharing this incredible journey with us, Devansh.
Thanks a lot. Really great story.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Richard and Karen, for having me on the podcast.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of the 10 Adventures podcast. If you liked it, why not give us a review? Better yet, subscribe and get inspired again and again. Also, if you want to find your own adventures, why not check out 10adventures.com, where you can use our free resources to plan your own trip or book a tour in over 60 countries and make your own epic memories on your next adventure.